Let's observe silence for some time. Oh, Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 6, Dhyana Yoga, Yoga of Meditation. We'll chant from verse number 35 to 40.
भगवानुवाच असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते असंयतात्मना योगः दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः अर्जुन उवाच अयति श्रद्धयोपेतः योगाच्चलितमानसः अप्राप्य योगसंसिद्धिं कां गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति कच्चिन्नो भयविभ्रष्टः छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो ब्रह्मणः पथि एतन्मे संशयं कृष्ण छेत्तुमर्हस्य शेषतः त्वदन्यः संशयस्यास्य छेत्ता न ह्युपपद्यते श्रीभगवानुवाच पार्थ नैवेह नामुत्र विनाशस्तस्य विद्यते न हि कल्याणकृत् कश्चित् दुर्गतिं तात गच्छति
Verse number 33 and 34 is Arjuna's question to Krishna. And I think last week we studied these two verses, 33 and 34. This yoga of equanimity taught by you, O Madhusudan. I'm just reading the translation to recap main points. I do not see its enduring stability owing to restlessness. The mind, verily, O Krishna, is restless, turbulent, strong, and obstinate. I consider it as difficult to control as the wind. So it's a legitimate question by Arjuna, which many of us would have. So there are two main points in this question in verse number 33. So Arjuna feels mind cannot remain steady due to restlessness. It is going all over the place because of desires. And even if it finds peace, it cannot be endured. It doesn't last long. Few days, few weeks, again something or the other disturbs you. Desires come, they create mental agitation. So Arjuna feels he's going by his own experience, undeveloped mind. This is what we need to understand, which is your mind, my mind. So the point is, why does mind become restless? I'm just recapping. It was explained last week in detail. I mean, in case you missed the lecture, you can listen to the recordings, which are easily accessible now. Radha is going to tell us at the end of the lecture. So mind becomes restless, whether your mind, my mind, anybody's mind, when intellect is not powerful enough to supervise the mind. It is understood. Because it is full of desires. Desires are endless. And all these unfulfilled desires produce mental agitations. How many desires can you fulfill? You feel one, another pops up. So it goes on. Also, when you have strong desires, you are victimized by likes and dislikes. I like this, I don't like that. Then another tendency of the mind is to get attached to or become possessive about whatever it contacts, objects and beings of the world. And also, due to desires, mind has a tendency to swing between past and future, worries of the past, anxiety for the future. So therefore, Arjuna feels, I mean, how do I get control on this mind? And then he further explains, he compares mind to a wind. That's the comparison. It's like it's pramati, it is turbulent, keeps on churning in one place, unfulfilled desires. And it can lead to heinous crimes sometimes. There are so many documentaries, just for education, investigation, discoveries, fascinating to understand the psychology of a criminal mind. It's not that they are monsters or something like that. One or two desires, they lose control, it goes on churning, and it comes to a point that they end up committing heinous crime. And they may regret it. Many of them do regret. But the whole thing starts with one uncontrolled desire. This is what you and I need to understand. So therefore, it is compared to that turbulence quality of the wind, isn't it? Then it is strong. Though it is insubstantial, but it is very strong. It can change the direction of your life, entire life. You could be victimized by desires of the mind, addictions, for example. And then it is obstinate, just like wind is obstinate, mind is obstinate. Any opening it will enter. So similarly, mind's desires are insatiable and the pursuit of them is relentless. Mind holds on to whatever objects, emotions, ideas it entertains with tremendous attachment. So, how do I control such a mind? This is Arjuna's question. And we get a brilliant answer from Krishna in the next few verses. Verse number 35, please.
श्रीभगवानुवाच असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते श्रीभगवानुवाच असंशयं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन तु कौन्तेय वैराग्येण च गृह्यते.
The blessed Lord said, Asamshaya, doubtless, the mind is restless and difficult to control, O Mahabaho, O Arjuna, but it can be controlled by Abhyasa and Vairagya, by practice and dispassion, O Kaunteya. It's a masterpiece in human communication, that psychology of communication. So Krishna agrees with Arjuna to begin with. No doubt, I fully agree with you. Mind is very difficult to control. But it can be controlled by ABC. He gives the formula. It's a very useful tool for all of us to use in any communication, whether at home, work, when you're interacting with members of society, forums. But the problem is, due to ego, people immediately disagree. Sometimes people, they are not even willing to listen. Forget about agreeing or disagreeing. Monotonously, you keep talking. It's like a volley of AK-47. Others may not even get an opportunity to say yes and no. I'm giving you an extreme case. So very poor listening skills. But what happens? It happens to all of us that due to ego, you immediately disagree. You haven't even heard the person's point properly. And then you get into arguments. So this is what happens. It's a typical scene in good many homes or even workplace. Children, they say something, or wife says something, husband says something. Before poor person has made his point, no, I disagree with you. I strongly disagree. What did I say? You ask, okay, what are you disagreeing on? In good many cases, that person may not even able to answer. Okay? He doesn't know what is he disagreeing on. I just disagree. So this is where Krishna scores, meaning a matured person with a powerful intellect scores. Same thing happens in the workplace, in a meeting or international forums. Sometimes you see in the news a person who represents whatever, it could be his nation, it could be his particular body. The moment he gets up to make his point, there are people who walk out. I mean, hear him out, even if it is wrong. You may not agree with him, but at least hear him out, hear her out. Sometimes en masse they leave. So what are you going to achieve? What are you going to negotiate? So therefore it goes on and on, these differences. There is no end to it for decades and decades. There are no listeners because of ego. But when you listen to another person to begin with, and then agree with him, even if he is making a point which is not logical to begin with, just to get his attention, you agree with him. So when you listen to him patiently, you agree with him or her, you get that person's attention. And once you get that person's attention, then you can present your point based on logic and reason. Whatever you have to convey. And if other person has some logic and reason, there are chances that he will understand you. It's a very useful tool. Opposed to this is you're not even willing to listen. Immediately you disagree. When you disagree, there is confrontation. And when there is confrontation, you can't put forward your point, however right you are, however valid your point is, and therefore you don't achieve anything. Take a typical scenario at home. Parents, they are trying to convey something to children. Or children, they're trying to convey something to parents. No, you're not going to do this. And there are clashes, or there is argument, confrontation. And at the end of the day, nothing gets done. So we all should learn from this. That's the psychology. Are you getting it? It's a very useful tool of communication. And then he says, so first he agrees, yes, no doubt, Arjuna, mind is not easy to control, but it can be controlled by practice and dispassion, abhyasa and vairagya. So by abhyasa, by practice, he means 3 spiritual disciplines, which we have been saying right from the beginning. Path of action, path of devotion, path of knowledge. So it improves the quality of your desires and the quantity reduces. The bottom line is knowledge. Any spiritual practice, it is backed by your intellect, backed by your knowledge. So knowledge with knowledge, your daily exposure to this knowledge, your study and reflection, that's what it means by abhyasa, daily practice. Gradually, you conquer your desires. Quality improves, quantity drops. We keep on saying that over and over again. And it leads to meditation. When bulk of the desires are gone, you qualify for meditation. So that's what he means by practice. Your study and reflection, knowledge. And when you get established in this knowledge, as per your capacity, the effect of that is you develop dispassion, which is called as vairagya. Yeah, I repeat, what Krishna is telling all of us. Mind can be controlled. Mind and its desires can be controlled. How? By practice, which is nothing but knowledge. Your daily association with this knowledge, you study this knowledge, you reflect on this knowledge, which builds your intellect. And once your intellect is built, relatively speaking, slowly you start getting command on your desires, isn't it? And then you apply them in your day-to-day life, your intellect. So once you conquer your desires, relatively speaking also, you develop that dispassion. You are in the world, very much in the world, but you are dispassionate. We often call that state as dispassionate passion. You're doing your duties at home, at work, but you have that dispassionate passion as opposed to getting excited, getting involved, getting entangled in whatever you're doing. So that state is called as dispassion. Just as when we play with children, age group 4, 8, 10, 12, we all have that dispassion, isn't it? You may play with passion with them, but inside, what is your state? You're completely dispassionate. You may scream with them, you may run with them, but you don't really care because you have grown out of the toy world. So that's the way to understand. So another way to explain this concept is through knowledge. You remove the ignorance. So what is blocking divinity in you and me is ignorance. We don't know that we are full. That's the ignorance of our fullness, ignorance of our divinity. The happiness which we are seeking is not in the external world, it is in you already, which we don't know. So, with knowledge, you remove that ignorance. And as you start removing ignorance, you become more and more full. Complete fullness is state of self-realization. And at least you find that satisfaction, contentment in life. Your mind's desires are not bothering you that much, as opposed to a person who is completely ignorant. A totally ignorant person, he experiences incompleteness in him. And to fulfill that incompleteness, desires, they start going into the world. Are you getting the connection? Because he is totally ignorant. But as you get knowledge, the knowledge of the scriptures, that incompleteness reduces. Slowly it starts reducing. And that removes mental agitations. So mental agitations are created because of ignorance. That's the connection. In Vedantic parlance, we use the word avarna and vikshepa. I don't want to bother you with these technical terms. Those who are coming from traditional background, especially Indians, they know these two words. It is avarna, meaning ignorance. It is avarna which creates vikshepa. So avarna is covering. Divinity is covered due to ignorance. So it is ignorance which produces mental agitations. So due to ignorance, mind is drawn to the worldly enchantments and remains disturbed in this pursuit. Therefore, you always experience incompleteness in life, irrespective of what is happening to you. You may get best of everything. You may get all the wealth in the world. You may get all the power in the world. Everything you get. In spite of that, you remain incomplete. So what is the reason of that incompleteness? There's only one reason. There's only one cause. What is that cause? What is that reason?
Ignorance,
It's ignorance. Ignorance of what?
the scriptures, and the knowledge in them.
I mean, you master the scriptures. Will your incompleteness go away?
Ignorance of the self that we're complete and full.
Perfect. So both the answers are correct. Yes, scripture, but you master scriptures, nothing will happen. You will become a scholar. That is all will happen. What is the message of all the scriptures? The kingdom of heaven is within you. If you understand that one word, forget about reading Bible or Bhagavad Gita or any scripture. That's the bottom line. So it is ignorance. Due to ignorance, you experience incompleteness, ignorance of your fullness. And due to that incompleteness, mind is drawn to the worldly enchantments, objects and beings of the world. And it remains disturbed. So how do you control the mind? How do you reduce your desires? It is through knowledge. It is as simple as that. So through knowledge, you build intellect. Once you build intellect, slowly but surely, you are in a commanding position. Otherwise, your mind will keep on harassing you. Your mind will keep on teasing you whole life. It has got nothing to do with your external achievements. You need to understand this. We are not against external achievements. I mean, fine. Why not? That is not going to give you the peace which you are looking for. So that's the bottom line. Whatever you are doing in life, the bottom line is you want peace, you want happiness, which you will not get no matter what happens. For the time being, you get that kick. Oh, I achieved this, I got that, I got this. But that incompleteness will not go away because of ignorance. So you need to tackle ignorance. So as you tackle ignorance, which is the cause, slowly that incompleteness will go away. So in Vedantic parlance, we use these two words. They are good words to learn. Avarna, which produces vikshepa. Don't ask me how to spell that in English. So you figure out how to do that. Avarna, A-V-A-R-N, N as in Nancy. Avarna produces vikshepa. I can't spell that word, vikshepa. Avarna produces vikshepa. Avarna is ignorance. Vikshepa is minutes. I explained.
Mental agitation.
Mental agitations. Avarna produces vikshepa. Ignorance produces mental agitation. So you cannot deal with your mental agitations by correcting the word. That is where we all make mistakes. Just before the class, somebody called me, 15, 20 minutes, that person chewed my head. And then the last 5 minutes of that conversation, that person started sobbing very bitterly. I mean, it's not pleasant to listen to an adult cry like a child, trying to fix the external world. This is what I try to tell that person. You can't fix anything externally. Even if you fix it externally, for the time being, you will be okay. Again, your mind will bother you because ignorance is there. So yes, to begin with, you need the knowledge of the scriptures. So somebody already said that both answers are correct. But the gist of the knowledge of the scriptures is the knowledge of your fullness. Once you understand that, you will know what to do. You will apply this knowledge in your day-to-day life, but it has to hit you. That's the point. And then he continues, verse number 36. That is how to control the mind.
असंयतात्मना योगः दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः असंयतात्मना योगः दुष्प्राप इति मे मतिः वश्यात्मना तु यतता शक्यो वाप्तुमुपायतः.
Yoga, I think, is hard to attain by one who is uncontrolled. But it can be attained by one who is controlled by means of striving. Yatata. So again, he is agreeing with Arjuna. Yes, I understand. Mind is not easy to control. Spiritual evolution is not that easy. Actually, it means the goal of self-realization. It's not easy because mind keeps on bothering you. But it is easy for a person. It can be done by somebody who has controlled his mind and one who is willing to put efforts. But it is difficult for a person who has no control. Asanyatatmana. That's the actual Sanskrit word. The English translation is one who is not controlled. For such a person, how can he control his mind? How can he evolve spiritually? How can he gain the ultimate enlightenment? It's not possible. For such a person, spiritual evolution or self-improvement, self-realization, you can. All these are same. No doubt it is difficult because mind keeps on entertaining endless desires. We already discussed it, isn't it? There is no end to mind entertaining its desires. Why? That's the nature of the mind. My mind, your mind. We often mention this. It is compared, mind is compared to a fire. You add any amount of fuel into the fire, it wants more. So mind keeps on entertaining endless desires. Why it keeps on entertaining endless desires? Due to ignorance, which we already covered last verse. And what are you doing? You keep on feeding your desires indiscriminately. Fine, everybody has desires. You are born with desires. But as a human being, you have capacity to manage your desires and ultimately eliminate your desires. But due to ignorance of this knowledge, intellect is weak, you keep on feeding your desires at all levels of your personality. And these unfulfilled desires or the pursuit of these desires, it produces mental agitations and restlessness. Oh, I want that. Till I get that, I will not be happy. Could be anything. It could be just, somebody told you, Burger King, they have introduced a nice burger, Whopper. Till you try that, mind will be restless. Could be as innocuous as that. So, mind creates mental agitations, it remains restless. Such a mind is not suitable for spiritual progress. That's what he's saying. There is no doubt. Such people can never calm their mind. They can never control their mind, because what are they doing? Again, due to ignorance, due to innocence. They keep on pouring fire into the fuel, or the fuel into the fire. There is a fire as it is, and you keep on pouring gasoline. What will happen? This is what most of us are doing. As it is, there are desires, and you go on indiscriminately feeding your desires. But it is possible for a person, vashyatmana, meaning one who is self-controlled. I hope you're following the thought flow. It is difficult. You can't control mind if you are feeding your desires, if your intellect is weak. But mind can be controlled. You can grow spiritually. You want to attain the ultimate by one who is self-controlled, meaning you are not victimized by your senses. It is as simple as that. You don't succumb to the sense objects. That does not mean you don't contact the sense objects. You fix a goal or an ideal in life, and any activity which interferes with that goal, you say no. It's not difficult. Every Saturday, Sunday, you attend Vedanta lectures. That's your goal. So any activity which interferes with that schedule, you say no. And you may do it after the class. It's not that you have to say no. If your friend invites you for a game of golf, the wrong example to give this time of the year, but I don't know, if somebody is from Florida, I hope 365 days they can play golf. It's not that you have to say no. You can tell him yes after class. And then you go enjoy a game of golf for whatever you want to do. But you must fix an ideal in life. And any activity which interferes with that goal or ideal, you say no, or you soft pedal on that. This is the meaning of self-control, number one. Number two, you live a simple and frugal life. See, I'm trying to explain the word vashyatmana, one who is self-controlled. What does it mean? How do we apply that in our day-to-day life? So there are three main points. The first point was what? You're not victimized by your senses, self-control, which is not self-denial. So how do you apply self-control in your day-to-day life? For that, you should have a goal or an ideal in life. And any activity which interferes with that goal, you say no. Next point is you live a simple and a frugal life. What is simple, frugal life? Live within your means. Each one is at a different level. So your income is $150,000. You manage your expenses within that. That is simplicity. That is frugality. You can't compare yourself to a person who is earning, let's say, $500,000. He should manage his expenses within $500,000. So living within your means is being frugal. And also, you're not indulgent even if you can afford. Let's say you have all the wealth in the world, you can buy whatever you want to buy. Does that mean you have to buy? Yes, what you need, fine. You don't have to frustrate yourself. But again, the formula is that you can easily afford whatever. You should settle for one level below. You can easily afford 7-bedroom house, for argument's sake. Go for 5-bedroom house. That's not what you do. You can easily afford 7-bedroom house. You go for maybe 10-bedroom, 15-bedroom house. That is being indulgent. I'm just trying to give you an example. You can afford a particular vehicle, whatever it may be. You just go one level below that. If you practice this throughout your life, you're simple. That is simplicity. That is frugality. That is not being indulgent. So otherwise, somebody may say, how do I practice this self-control? Do I have to deny myself? Do I have to frustrate? No, there is no such thing. It's a very practical concept. This is how slowly but surely mind comes under the control of your intellect. And then another quality he gives, one who is striving. Yatata, by striving. So throughout your life, you are putting efforts to conquer your mind, to conquer your desires, to conquer your vasanas. And we keep on repeating, your morning study is the key. Doesn't matter what you are doing in life. Go on a holiday, you want to go do this, do that, it's okay. But if you tie yourself to a schedule, your efforts will never stop. If you don't do that, you'll never put efforts. So to begin with, your morning study, systematic, methodic study of Vedanta is must. And secondly, find out your weaknesses in life. Each one has got pockets of weaknesses. So there you use your intellect and deal with that particular weakness, strong desire. It could be strong likes and dislikes. For that, you have to strive. You need to put efforts. If you don't do that, that problem will continue for the rest of your life. Could be anything. One person may have weakness for wealth. Another person may have weakness for alcohol or some addiction. Third person may have weakness for sightseeing. There are people who throughout the year they keep traveling a good part of the year. Why? Just because they got all the money in the world. Does that mean you have to do that? So one person may have weakness for sightseeing, or you may be attached to or possessive about your family member, children. So you need to use your intellect and analyze your weakness. See, for example, let's say you have a weakness for wealth. So how do you analyze that? Yes, wealth is necessary. Without wealth, how can you survive? But the problem is if you feel that wealth can give you happiness, then the problem starts. So then that craving never ends. Wealth is not a problem. It is the craving, it is the obsession, that thirst for wealth. Adi Shankara, he uses the word Trishna. He says, give up that Trishna for wealth. He doesn't say give up wealth. Trishna is that craving, that obsession, that greed for wealth is the problem. So you educate yourself. Yes, wealth is necessary. I have to earn wealth for whatever I need in my life or for my family. And how do I acquire wealth? I have to work unselfishly and with total commitment in my profession. whatever profession you are in, you must work in a spirit of service and sacrifice. And when you work with this spirit unselfishly, you will get X amount of wealth. How can you not get? And be content with that wealth. So this is how you handle that. So not only you get wealth, but also you get contentment. But if you have that craving, if you have that trust, you are mentally agitated. When you are mentally agitated, how can you be productive? So to begin with, you can't even acquire wealth properly. But when you are calm, when you are composed, when you are serene, that is possible only when you are unselfish. You become very productive. And such a person will automatically acquire X amount of wealth. He'll be successful. And be content with that at any given time in your life. And be progressive. Nobody is saying you should not be progressive. See, when we say be content with what you have, that does not mean you stagnate in life. Focus is just on you keep on putting efforts. And throughout your life, you will get what you deserve. So it is a win-win situation. Another person may have weakness for family. See, we are studying this concept, yatata. Let's not forget what we are discussing. How you put efforts. What I said was each one has got pockets of weaknesses. So we discussed one such example, wealth. Another person may have weakness for children. Good many parents, they have weakness for children, meaning they are attached to their children. They are very possessive about their children. So what you have to understand that each human being brings his vasana into the world. You can't do anything about that. Yes, as a parent, you can do your duties. That is your duty as a parent. It goes without saying. Educate them, give higher values of life to them. You live your life based on higher values. So they automatically emulate you. So you do all that, you do your duties. But the problem comes when you start micromanaging their life. That is, and it's not possible. Just because he or she is your child, it doesn't make any difference. That person is an individual at the end of the day. He has come into this world with his own desires. He will leave this world with his own desires. As simple as that. The problem comes when you become possessive and then you start micromanaging that person's life. Will you do that to your neighbor's kid? See, I'm giving you extreme example, so it becomes easy. But you are doing it to your own child day in and day out. So that does not mean you do not do your duties. You do your duties in the spirit of dispassion and leave it at that. This is how you use your intellect and analyze your weaknesses. That's the meaning of the word yatata, striving. So it is hard to attain. Spiritual evolution is hard to attain for one who is uncontrolled. So we already discussed 3-4 reasons. But it can be attained by one who is controlled. Again, we analyze that. And by means of striving. Your daily effort, your daily study and reflection, the consistency of this knowledge. And areas where you are lacking, you feel you need improvement or you have weaknesses, you put efforts to conquer that. If you don't do that, it will remain the rest of your life. If you are addicted to something, let's say alcohol, I'm giving you extreme example. If you don't do anything, whole life will remain an addict. You have to put efforts. And from verse number 37 to 39, Arjuna wants to know the utility of pursuing the spiritual path. So that's the thought flow. 37, 38, 39. He has another question. So we'll start with verse number 37. Now, there are three questions he's asking. Verse number 37, please.
Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayopetāh yogachalita manasah aprapya yoga samsiddhim kam gatim Krishna gacchati. Arjuna uvacha ayati shraddhayopetāh योगाचलिता मानसः अप्राप्य योग संसिद्धिं कां गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति.
Radha, can you please read the commentary? I think there's some FedEx guy at the door.
Yeah, yes, Amit. Arjuna said, the uncontrolled who possesses Shraddha, faith, whose mind wanders away from yoga, failing to attain perfection in yoga, what end, O Krishna, does he meet?
I told you to read the commentary. It's okay.
Sorry, Amitji. Sorry.
The translation I can read. Okay. Yeah. The uncontrolled, I'm going to explain. So there are 37, 38, 39. 3 verses. It's a long question. The uncontrolled who possesses Shraddha, the faith, whose mind wanders away from yoga, spiritual practice, failing to attain perfection in yoga, what end, O Krishna, does he meet? It's a very simple question. He is asking, what happens to a seeker who does not attain the goal of self-realization? Because it's no joke. One person in several generations perhaps can reach that state. And all of us are following the spiritual path. So what happens to a person who doesn't reach that state? Is he going to waste his time? Has he lost everything? Is he a loser? It's a very practical question, but also no true seeker will ask this question. It shows result orientation. But it's okay. I mean, we all slip into that frequency once in a while. So what happens to such a seeker? So a true seeker is never result oriented, is action oriented. Any facet of life, but we are talking, let's say, in the spiritual path. So you do what you ought to do. With this knowledge, you do karma yoga, bhakti yoga, jnana yoga. You do your duties at home, at work, in the spirit of dispassion. All that goes without saying. You live a disciplined life. So that itself will improve you. That itself is improvement. So the word which we often use is satisfaction of having done what ought to be done. Krita krityasya bhavana. That feeling you get at the end of the day, I have tried my level best. Everything at home, at work, proper exercise, proper food, no fighting with spouse, nothing, everything is perfect. That satisfaction you get at the end of the day, krityasya bhavana, that itself is peace, that itself is happiness, which incidentally leads to growth. It goes without saying. But the moment you become result oriented, there are agitations and the quality of your effort is compromised. When quality of your effort is compromised, obviously the result is going to be compromised. Number one. Number two, result orientation is nothing but innocently you are catering to that I and my. Am I improving? Am I improving? And problem is whole day we are I, my, me, I. So what are you doing in the spiritual path? Same that I and me you are bringing. So instead of liquidating your ego, you are again consolidating your ego, which you are doing anyway. Spiritual path is meant for liquidation of the ego. So innocently you end up doing the same thing. Am I improving? Am I improving? Am I improving? So a true seeker never bothers about growth. So it's a hallmark of a high quality seeker. That is number one. But what assurance scriptures are giving to all of us is your growth is commensurate with your efforts. It is not in black and white. It's not that when you reach the state of self-realization, you will become a better human being. And who knows? I mean, it's a theoretical concept. When are we going to experience that? Perhaps never. So how do we know that this knowledge is working? So your growth is not in black and white, meaning it is commensurate with your efforts. Every step you take, it benefits you. Your every unit of effort which you are putting, you are getting the benefit. It's like when you are having a healthy lifestyle. You eat well, you do proper exercise, all that you do. So everything you do is helping you to become a healthy person, isn't it? Similarly, you're doing your best, you're doing your duties, you're getting this knowledge, you're trying to improve yourself. That itself is growth. And to the extent you put efforts, to that extent you will get the benefit. You become more peaceful, you become more objective, you become more dynamic, productive, cheerful. Thinking becomes clear. And all that you can apply in whatever areas you are contacting in the world, whatever activities you are participating. So why worry unnecessarily? So true seeker never bothers. And there are a lot of quotations which give that assurance to people like you and I. One such quotation is from Prophet Muhammad. Can you have that PowerPoint, please? It's a very famous quotation from Quran. If a man draws near to me a span, I draw near to him a yard. If he draws near to me a yard, I draw near to him a fathom. If he comes to me walking, I come to him running. They dramatize, these masters, they dramatize, meaning, are you putting efforts? Once you put efforts, your entire life will be transformed. Yes, initially it is difficult, but once you taste what is higher living, it doesn't take for your desires to fall off. But that initial inertia is the problem. So once you overcome that, once you taste something superior, why would you go back to the old ways? And same thing Charles Dickens says in a different way in Tale of Two Cities. In fact, it's Sidney Carton who is saying that character, when he's about to be guillotined, he makes this philosophical statement. It's not, again, it's death of an ego. Somebody may think, oh boy, I mean, I have to be killed to reach that state. No, it's a death of an ego. It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known. What a statement. It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known. I mean, once you get a taste of this life, higher life, spiritual life, why would you go back to your old ways? The common feedback I keep getting from people: what was my life before I got exposed to this knowledge, and what kind of life I'm enjoying? There's no comparison. I'm talking about people who are sincere, who are genuine, who are putting efforts to improve themselves. 5 years back, 10 years back, I mean, typical life. Slightest thing used to bother them: mental agitation, worry, perhaps conflict at home, and work-related stress. They say it's all gone now, relatively speaking. So it is something which you need to experience. Personally, I got exposed to this knowledge at age of 24, 25, and after that the pursuit started. And I had done well in life. I went to Ivy League business school, started my business and all that, earned a lot of money. By the time 25, 26, I was done with all that. And I had tested. But now, when I look back at my own life, when I was a youngster of 24, 25, there's no comparison. The thought itself is, oh my God, was I that person? That's what it means. But for that, you need to get a taste of the higher living. Again, I'm giving you that, again, we magnify. Imagine you are doing drugs. Please don't get offended, but it drives home the point. And now you have quit that. Now, would you want to go back to that life? Somewhere lying in the gutter with all your, friends, so-called friends. Pigs are in garbage. Would you go back to that lifestyle? Or used to fight with your partner all the time. Now there is beautiful peace and harmony. Would you again want to start fights with your partner? Which person would want to do that? So when we magnify, we understand. So these quotations are very useful. So you don't have to worry about the ultimate state of enlightenment. I mean, every step you take in the spiritual path itself is an achievement. And then you don't regress. If you are truly established, you don't regress. And then the question continues. It's a long question, but we can learn quite a lot from that question. 38, please.
कच्चिन्नो भयविभ्रष्टः छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो ब्रह्मणः पथि कच्चिन्नो भयविभ्रष्टः छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढो ब्रह्मणः पथि.
Fallen from both, does he not perish like a rent cloud, O Mahabaho, O Arjuna, supportless and deluded in the path of Brahman? Again, it is poetry. He is comparing a seeker in his initial stage to a piece of cloud, rent cloud, meaning a piece of cloud which separates from a mother cloud, goes away, and it is dissolved, it disintegrates. So he is comparing that initial stage of a spiritual journey, which we all go through. Every seeker goes through that stage. So what is that stage? You have understood the futility of pursuing the world. Kind of. If you understood completely, then you are not a rent cloud. Kind of you have understood. Others are like absolutely, mad chase of acquisition, enjoyment. At least you are not like that. So in a way, you understood that. But also you lack absolute conviction to pursue the spiritual path. You're getting it? You are neither here or now there, relatively speaking. You're like a half-baked cookie. supportless and deluded. Supportless, it is used in the context. In a sense, no mad chase of acquisition and enjoyment. It's not that you don't have desire, but that madness, that craving, that greed is gone from you. The fascinating documentary about that craving for money on Wall Street. Nothing to do with Wall Street job, but that craving is the problem. The starting salary is something like $200,000, $250,000 for a graduate. And then it goes on to $500,000, $1 million, $2 million. To earn that money, they work 17, 18, 19 hours. We also work that much, but that doesn't mean we are stressed. That greed, that craving. And to keep it going, they have to take drugs. Fascinating documentary. All sorts of drugs they are taking, and what adverse impact it is having on their health, family life, and all that. Some of them, they are destroying their life. So you're not in that state. You understand money is important, but you're not, it's not that mad chase of money. In that sense, the word supportless is using. Also, you can't relate to people who are doing that. So you cannot be in that company also. But also you cannot give that company completely. And still there is some lingering desire in you. Supportless. And deluded, meaning world still attracts you. Once in a while you succumb to some temptations, or your mind keeps on teasing you occasionally. Intellect is not yet firmly established in the knowledge. You don't have that complete fixation. If you have complete fixation, where is the problem? So there are pockets where you lose that consistency. Also, you don't know how far have you progressed in the spiritual path. Definitely it is no enlightenment, but also you don't know where are you, because spiritual growth is slow. It's not that you're not growing. Definitely you're growing, but it is slow. Not the way you would want yourself to be, And also you are going against the herd instinct, and you're fighting that. Herd instinct is, take that example of Wall Street, that mad rush to earn money, acquire, enjoy, indulge. How can you suddenly go in a different direction? Of course, you're putting efforts, but you're fighting internally, perhaps externally also. Externally meaning maybe your family members are not supporting you, your colleagues, they are saying, what happened? You used to party with me till 1 o'clock in the night. Now 9:30 you go home. Some crazy thing, you get up in the morning and study. So that kind of internal turmoil is going on. So he is describing that state of apprehension. I don't know whether I'm able to, it's not easy to convey these concepts. So that state of apprehension is compared to Mr. Rent Cloud. That Mr. Rent Cloud is you and me in the initial stage of spiritual journey. So Arjuna is saying, am I not like that Rent Cloud, neither partying nor in a church or a temple, somewhere in between? How do I handle that? And in verse number 39, he completely surrenders to Krishna. He already surrendered, but he says, no, you have to help me to overcome this problem. And then what follows is a masterpiece of Bhagavad Gita, which is the last topic. So I will catch you when you're fresh next week. We'll do verse number 39, and then Krishna's answer starts. He gives that assurance, and step by step he explains that any person who is on the spiritual path, one who is righteous, he says, why are you worried? Such a person cannot be destroyed. Nothing bad can happen to such a person. Only positive thing can happen. So step by step he explains. Every unit of effort you put, you are going to gain only. You'll never regress in life, in any facet of life. Not only this life, in future life also, based on cause and effect. and there is famous metaphor. I will do it next week. Plato's metaphor. Again, it describes the same, that rent cloud. That young man, he questions what kind of a life we are living. A civilization which is living in the dark age for ages, and everybody is saying this is life. Darkness is life. So one young man, he questions and he decides to explore. Is there a life outside this cave? So what he goes through, that is Plato's metaphor all about. So I'll explain it briefly next week, and then we will continue. So I think that's it for today. Radha has got quick announcement.
Amitji, before that, Magdalena had raised her hand with a question or
Oh
something.
yeah, sure. Absolutely.
Magdalena, are you here? Oh, I think she's not here, Amitji.
Okay.
Amiji, can you explain supportless one more time?
See, supportless meaning your desires are always more than your income. So how you support your desires? It's nothing to do with quantum of wealth. So you're earning $250,000 per year, but your desires are at $500,000. So how do you support?
Right.
So you always feel supportless. So therefore, that mad rush for money. You earn $500,000, your desires are at $1 million. So still you feel supportless. How will I support my indulgences?
Okay.
How will I get my boat? How will I park the boat in the winter time? Somebody told me to maintain a boat, it costs something like $60,000-$70,000 per year. I never had a boat, but a boat owner, he explained to me. And half the time it is parked wherever they park it. What is that place called? Marina.
Right.
Monthly fees are some $2,000-$3,000 maintenance. I feel supportless. I can't maintain the boat. I want to earn more. I get a boat, then I want a mini yacht. Goes on.
Thank you.
Suddenly so bright it has become. Okay. All right. Yes, Radha.
Yeah.
Have I answered your question?
Yes, thank you.
Hari Om. Soon all recordings of the chapter 6 of the Gita will be available for public viewing on YouTube. You will receive an email with the details and the playlist link. You can review the past classes and also share this link videos with all your contacts and friends so they will have a chance to check out this class. If in any case you miss any class, you do not have to send us an email to the study class as you did in the past, since all these lectures are now available for you to view, and you can just view them once it gets updated within a day or two after the class. The recordings will be available for public viewing for a month or two. If you have any further questions, you can message or contact us through the study class email. Thank you.
All right. So I'll see you tomorrow in case you're attending Holocaust of Attachment. Otherwise, next Saturday.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amitji.
Thank you, Amitji.
Thank you, Amitji.
Welcome.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.